to the Real Estate Scripts Podcast, the show that helps you know what to say when you're talking to buyers and sellers so that you can close more deals and earn more money. I'm Darren Tunstall, a real estate professional, coach, and #1 best-selling author. Let's get into this. Before we begin today's episode, I want to clarify some important points. I am a licensed real estate agent and my DRE number is 018534445. It's crucial to note that this podcast operates independently of my affiliation with Keller Williams Realty and any realtor associations. My primary goal with this podcast is to provide you, our listeners, with valuable information, insights, and practical tools. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Real Estate Scripts Podcast. In today's episode, we are reviewing the script "You Are Too New or Inexperienced." You're on a listing appointment with a potential seller. They object to signing with you because you have no experience. The intention is to help the seller overcome the objection that you are a new agent. As a reminder, the purpose of Scripts and Dialogues is to come, learn, practice, and be prepared to fail forward. This is where we make mistakes and help each other out, but we're mostly interested in seeing how we can get better. First, we read through the script word for word, and then we go back and put it into our own natural tone, style, and phrasing. You won't know what to say until you go through the script. So, with that said, many people will say, "That's not how I sound," and I totally get it. That's not how you sound. But that is the reason why we practice every day, so that the script becomes you and in your own voice. So, read it word for word first, then go back and put it into your own natural tone, style, and phrasing, and I think it'll work out. You are too new or inexperienced.
Sounds about right.
Does that apply to anyone? All right, so let's go ahead and set the stage. You are on a listing appointment with a potential seller. The object is to sign the residential listing agreement or the RLA because you are too new, or they object. I'm sorry. Let me repeat that. You are on a listing appointment with a potential seller. They object to signing the residential listing agreement because you are too new or inexperienced as a real estate agent. The requirements are that you have to have strong communication skills and negotiation skills, an in-depth knowledge of the local real estate market, ability to educate and address client concerns, and persuasive and empathetic demeanor. So the intention is to help the seller overcome the objection that you are a new agent. This is a pretty common one. This whole week is about scripts that are just like this, ones that are very, very common. The last time we did seller objections, we purely focused on commissions, and this one is more like you're too new, I have a friend or in the business, stuff like that. So this particular one has multiple answers, but this or multiple ways of responding. This particular one is just going to respond with how we have it written here. So we will have Debbie talk to you will talk to Jaman, and Jaman will talk to Debbie. How's that sound?
Yeah.
All right. Whenever you're ready, Debbie.
Okay. So, wait, who am I speaking
I'm
to?
sorry. You know what? It does start out with a bracket. So you're going to talk to Brant. So you're actually the seller, and you're going to start out, Debbie, I appreciate the presentation. You're just too new to this business, and that really concerns me a lot. Yeah. So you're going to start the conversation, then she'll continue on with it.
Okay.
Because you're in the middle. We're throwing you guys in the middle of the conversation. This is this is one part of the presentation and something that comes up. And so this is where we're picking up at. Okay. So you'll start it, Brant.
Okay. Yeah, Debbie, I really like what I'm seeing so far, but I'm a little bit worried, that you don't really have the resume, or you might be a little bit too new to the business for what I'm looking for.
Well, I can understand your concerns, Brant. I am a fairly new agent. However, I'm not new to business. I have decades experience with customer service, sales, and have always worked in the professional capacity with 100 employees under my supervision. Um, I understand where you're coming from, but as you know, I'm from the La Mesa Keller Williams office, and I'm on the repost team, which, helps because there's between all of us, we have over 30 years of experience, plus we have a lot of people that are in our corner through Keller Williams. We have transaction coordinators, mentors. We're on coaching calls, and we have references to vendors. And if there is something that, for whatever reason, I wouldn't know, I have a plethora of people that I can get help from.
Okay. I like that. I like the idea of that team support and that real world experience.
Yeah, well, and something that you should be aware of too is of the process. It's a proven successful process on what we do to market your home, which includes, coming soon ads, circle marketing, just listed, social media, checklist, door knocking systems, the multiple listing services, etc. Um, as my client, all my energy is going to be focused on you and selling your home. I admit there are other agents out there who may have 5 or more listings at a time, but they're not going to give you the attention that I will. And that's what you want, isn't that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. I do want to sell this.
Okay. Well, then let me go to work for you and let's get your home sold.
Sweet. Sounds like a plan.
Okay. And here is your seller's agreement to sign.
Thank you.
All right, so she signed. Um, One of the things that I want to mention is because I know Debbie, her experience, that is her real background. So we don't want to just make up things as we go. I don't think any of you will, but I want to point out that, we do want to talk about some of our experience, whether it's part of a team or being a volunteer or, whatever job that you have had in the past, pull from that experience and incorporate it into the message here. Because that's the idea, is to convey, hey, I might be new to real estate, and that is brand new on my resume, but I'm not new to business and I'm not new to volunteering or customer service or being part of a team. And that's what you really want. You want somebody who's a team player. That's the approach that we're trying to take here. So, Brant, you're next, and then Jaman will have you start the conversation with Brant and go from there.
Okay. Hey Brent, I really appreciate this, but I just think that you are too new to the business for me to move forward with this.
Yeah. Um, Thank you for addressing that with me. I absolutely hear what you're saying. Uh, I understand and I appreciate your concern. I think while I definitely might be new um, to this position as an agent, I am not new to the experience of drawing upon the wealth of knowledge from an experienced team. And I think that I know that the training that I've received and the team that I work with is going to put me on par to the level that you would get with any other agent. And I think that something that could potentially be really beneficial is if you wanted to talk with my broker to sort of get an idea of the level of support that new agents are given at the firm that I am working at, so that you can sort of dissuade those concerns and see that you will have the full support of the team behind you, and you will be given that individualized experience.
Okay, okay. That sounds that sounds really well. I guess I'm a little bit I feel a little bit better that you do have a little real world experience.
Yeah. And can I ask if there was anything specifically that you were maybe dissuaded by that you think that somebody who is more experienced would be able to help you better at? Because I was just curious about, yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is my options as far as the lending side goes. What type of what type of options do I have with this with a mortgage? Because I don't want to be tied in for 30 years. I kind of want to get it out the way. But yeah, that's really one of my biggest concerns. It's just
Yeah.
getting the best mortgage
Yeah,
options.
I absolutely understand that. That is a top concern for a lot of people, especially because interest rates are going so high right now, and with so much uncertainty in the world, in the state of world affairs. It's an intense time to invest, and so I absolutely understand on those concerns. What I will say is we have tried and true lending professionals that I have been in contact with and could recommend you to. And I think that those resources and their proven track records are something that also sets them apart. And I would say for more kind of specific lending information, the lenders would be the best people to get in contact with for that. But I'd be happy to provide, a list of options of people that I know have worked in the past well for some of our other clients.
Okay, I like that.
All right. Well, if you're ready to proceed forward.
I have a question.
Okay.
Yeah. So I know that went off the rails a little bit, but
Well, I'm kind of curious to know who Jaman is. What kind of a client is Jaman? I'm asking Jaman, actually.
Just really concerned about moving forward with signing with a new agent, and one of the main things is, am I going to get the best? I'm just kind of sketchy. I'm concerned. I'm concerned. I want to make sure that I get the best rates possible.
So are you a seller or are you a buyer, or are you both?
I'm a seller.
Yes, you're a seller. That's what threw Brant off. So
yeah. I'm thinking I went in as a buyer.
that's right. That's right. You're a seller. So I let it go because I was wondering, okay, wait, is he asking about rates? Because after
Yeah,
he
no.
sells, is he going to turn around and buy? Now he's concerned about the rates.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No,
It's
I'm a seller.
it's all
Oh
good.
wow.
Would you
that's
mind if
fun
we
though.
did that? Would you mind if we
Yes.
did that again?
Yeah, let's do it again.
All right. All right. You'll start it. Brant will pick it up
Okay.
again.
Hey Brent, how you doing, man? Thank you so much, man, for coming by, man. But I just don't think that I'm ready to move forward right now at this given time due to the fact that you're so new.
Yeah, I definitely understand and appreciate your concern, Jamal. I am a newly licensed agent. However, I am not new to business in general, and I draw from the wealth of experience that comes from the team that I work with and have trained with. Um, I don't. As an aside, it's kind of hard uh, to. I feel like I'm blanking because like last time I was kind of. I don't know.
Last time you did really well.
Yeah, you smooth.
Just do it again. You know what?
Okay.
Again, this is practice. This is
Yeah.
where this is behind the scenes where nobody ever sees, right?
Yeah.
You'll be heard on the podcast, but this is the practice. This is where all the blood, sweat, and tears goes into, and then the polished version is you when you're in front of clients. And that's what I think everybody should understand. This is a place to come, fail, get better and do it again. So
Yeah.
let's just pick ourselves up.
Okay.
Let's have you do it again.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely appreciate and understand those concerns, Jamal. I am a newly licensed agent, but I'm not new to the business. And I think that it's where I know that drawing from the wealth of experience of my team is something that will be really beneficial, I think, for you to be maybe exposed to, if that's something that is a concern for you. I would love potentially for you to talk to like my broker and the other amazing people with decades of experience put together that really put their all into training and equipping new agents to make sure that they are best prepared. And so I believe that there is nothing that an agent who has been working for a decade would be able to help you on that I wouldn't also be able to help you with.
Well, that you know what, that really relieves me that you definitely have that team behind you, because I work so hard for this house, and I just want to make sure that I get the best price, the best numbers. I want to make sure that I get the best numbers possible for it.
Yeah, and we always want to do best by our clients, the individuals that we work with. We really value the importance and the magnitude of this financial decision, and we want to make sure that you feel the most at ease and are the most aware of and also comfortable with sort of how the process unfolds.
Awesome.
Sweet. Well, happy to
Well, finish it up. Finish it
yeah.
with the last paragraph, something that you should also be aware of, because at the end of the day, they want to know what you're going to do to get their home sold. So let's talk about that. Finish that paragraph.
Yeah, I think something that you should also be aware of is that when we do market your home, which includes a bunch of things such as circle marketing, just listed social media, door knockings, being on the multiple listing service, things of that nature. As my client, you, and all of my energy is going to be focused on you and selling your home. I just want you to know, that while there are other agents who have a bunch of listings and it might seem like they have a lot of success, they're not going to be able to give you the attention to detail that I will. And that is something that you're interested in, right?
That is definitely something I'm interested in. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would love to go to work for you and get your home sold.
Awesome. Awesome. What do I do? Do I sign anywhere? What do I do?
Yeah. You'd sign right here.
Okay. Awesome. Let's do it.
Sweet.
All right. Perfect. Okay, that's good. When all else fails in a script, just go back to the script itself. So I feel like at times you were trying to put it in your own words, and that's fine. That's what we want you to do, is put it your own tone, style, and phrasing. In the beginning, when you're just starting out and practicing, we want you to practice the script word for word and then internalize it. And then after you internalize that, we want you to customize it. And that's where you can go back and put it in your own tone, style, and phrasing. So it's memorize, internalize, customize in that order. So you did a great job. You definitely have everything going for you. You're like Jamon said earlier, you're smooth. Your tone is, and like I absolutely meant it the other day when I said you had this voice that is very trustworthy and credible, and it makes me want to work with you. So you're doing great. Okay. Just because we failed here and there, it doesn't matter. We just pick ourselves up and go again. We go again. We go again. We keep on taking that shot. So you did good. And I just want to point out, for those of you who have not seen tie downs yet, when you see things like at the end of a sentence, they're purposely there for a reason. For example, in the last sentence where it says, I'm not going to give you attention that I will, and that's what you want, right? So words like right, does that make sense? What do you think? Stuff like that. These are tie downs, meaning that we want you to agree by saying yes throughout the conversation consistently, so that at the end, when you say, you know what, let's go ahead and do the right thing, let me go to work for you so that we can get your home sold, sign right here. So they're already in yes mode. That's the purpose of the tie downs. They're already in yes mode. And we have a whole bunch of scripts and dialogues that are purely based on just tie downs. There's like, I don't know, 20, 30 of them. It's crazy. All right. Jamon, you ready?
Yep, let's do it.
So Debbie is starting the conversation. She's objecting because you're new.
Got it. So true.
Yeah, I do have concerns. My main concern is, I've done a lot of research and, I definitely want to go with Keller Williams, but I see that there's other agents at your branch that are like number 2 in all of Southern California, and they get the job done. And my fear is that something will either go wrong because of your inexperience, or, you know, uh, I mean, this is a big investment that I've made in my home, and I just need, the bottom line, I want to get the most money in the least amount of time.
Debbie, look, first of all, I just want to say thank you, and I really appreciate the fact that you've done the research. Now, I understand and I really appreciate your concern. Now, I am a newly licensed agent. This is very true. But however, I am not new to business. I do have a professional background. I've worked in the housing industry for the past 5 years with the state, with transitional housing, and just with housing vouchers. So I know the industry. And I've been a part of teams at those different in those different situations, that I know how to work with a team. And that's the beautiful thing about this situation. As you can see, I've had lots of experience in working with people, and I am able to manage difficult situations regardless of the task. And just like you said, you've done your research. So all those people that you see, that you read up on, they're here to help me as well. What do you think about that, Debbie?
Well, I don't know. I kind of equate it to an inexperienced driver that just got their license, that, they're more apt to, get in an accident or make a mistake. Uh, but I mean, you're making me feel better about knowing that you have been in the industry. Maybe tell me more.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. Because I mean, if you knew, you knew, right? But just based on everything that I just told you, you can see that you are getting a whole team experience, and with real estate agents. Now, something that you should be aware of is what we do to market your home. Now, this is where it really gets good, because that includes your coming soon, circle marketing, just listed. Social media is really huge. As you know, that's the age that we're living in, and we really are experts on that. I have a whole team that we come together to work on that. Checklists, your door knocking systems, the MLS, all the things that we need to get the home sold, Debbie. We've got it covered for you. Now, as my client, all my energy is going to be focused on you and selling your home. And I admit there are other agents out there who may have 5 or more listings at a time, but I believe that they're not going to give you the attention that I will. And that's what you want. That's correct, right?
Yes, definitely.
Awesome. Well, let's do this, Debbie. Let me go to work for you and get your home sold. I have an agreement right here. All I need you to do is sign it, and then we can move forward. How does that sound?
Well, how long is the agreement for? In case I'm not getting results, is there a way to get out of it
There
sooner
are
than later?
there are ways, Debbie. Let me get with my broker and see. This is a good point that you just had as a newbie. I'm not for certain, but let me get with my broker. Let's sit down and let's talk about it. And but I know that you have options. There are definitely options. So if just go ahead and sign, and we'll make sure that you get the best service. Okay.
Okay, yeah, I just let them know that I would rather sign a legal document, say for a 3-month period than 6 months or a year.
I
I
think
can't,
that's
yeah, I can't afford to wait a year to get my home sold.
right. Definitely. I'll do. I let me talk with my broker. I believe that is definitely negotiable, and we can move forward from there.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, Debbie. Thank you.
Mhm.
Wow, there's so much in that right there. There's so much going on in that conversation right there. Uh
I forgot how long is the agreement. What?
hold on, let me write some down. I
She
was
got
writing
me.
notes down. Um
I didn't sign.
okay. Well, so the easy answer to that one is absolutely, Debbie. There's always a way out. What we can have you do is sign for if it's 30 days, if it's 60 days, if it's 90 days, 2 months, 3 months,
Ah,
whatever it is you want. Okay. Um, so hold on. Here's the other thing that I want to write down. Okay. So in that case, look, Debbie, if you're not satisfied at the end, at the end of the agreement or any time during the agreement for some reason, I'd like to talk to you about it first before we just decide to tear up the contract. But at the end of the day, I would rather separate as friends and I would tear up the contract for you. Okay. So it's whatever you really choose. I highly suggest going for at least 3 months. Okay. Because depending on how long escrow is, it a lot of people say, well, it's a 30-day. Well, you don't know that. You really don't know that. And the people that you have to have the conversation with is mostly the lender. How long is this going to take to close? So I would say if somebody ever asks you, how long do we expect to take, does this going to expect to take? It could be anywhere between, say, 30 to 60 days. So allow me to have 90 days to make sure that everything closes properly on time. And
right.
you can always go back and extend things later on through addendums and whatnot, should you need to. If
Or if it should fall out of escrow too.
if it should fall out of escrow too, because it might not be that you didn't do your job. You did your job. You helped get into escrow, but something happened on their end for whatever reason it fell out. But you did your job, and she might absolutely love it. Now, I want to point out that she also said, I don't want to be sitting in this home for a year either.
Right.
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 Well,
Right.
that could be for a multiple reasons. And one in particular is let me ask you this. Why do homes not sell? What are the three top reasons why homes don't sell?
Overpriced.
Number one, it's pricing. Number two,
Condition.
condition of the home. And number three,
Neighborhood.
could be location, absolutely. I was thinking more along the lines of marketing. How is that home marketed?
Mhm.
So pricing, condition, marketing. And I mean, obviously location is part of there's multiple other reasons why a home doesn't sell, but those are the big three. Okay, pricing, conditioning, and marketing. And going back and talking about this is why this particular script talks about what you do to get homes sold. But in the very beginning, if you're having a conversation about pricing strategy and how to get multiple eyes on a home, then in order to encourage an offer or two or three or multiple offers, then then if you price that home properly, then you're going to get offers. And she won't have to sit in that house for more than 30 days, or let's just say 60 days, right? Because of all that. My point is, you have to do your job in up front, and make sure you don't want to just take a listing just because she says it's worth 850 grand, but she really wants to get $900,000. That would be ridiculous. She's not being realistic in selling the home. So yeah, in that case, she's going to be sitting on it. And guess what? You're going to be forking out a whole lot of money for marketing. So that's why I was like, if 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 it comes down to you wanting a listing so bad that you're willing to take it at a higher price just because she wants a higher dollar amount and you really want the listing, are you really willing to spend $250-$300 on postcards? Are you willing to spend a couple $100 on social media? Are you willing to spend, I don't know if you have any lock boxes or signage or anything like that. Are you willing to spend like another $200-$300 on a lockbox? If you have photography, that's another $200-$300. There's a certain amount of fixed cost that goes into selling a home. Before you sell it, you could end up spending anywhere between, say, $1,000 to $1,500. And if you didn't have that conversation right about pricing, then you are out of that money and she can cancel that contract.
So that's a real life scenario that happens a lot. Then they may go with you because you say, "Oh, I can get the house sold at a higher price than what," and now you're making a promise that, or you're writing a check that you can't. It's pretty much so.
Yes.
Well, and then it's too late once the seller, comes to the realization that
right,
you wanted too much, and then you lower it, and then potential buyers are going, well, what was wrong with it? Why have they had to lower it a couple times?
Yeah. So you want to be very, very careful about, and we have some objections on these types of scenarios too. It's just not in this particular week, but we're talking about it now, that just because a homeowner wants more than what they think it's worth or what the market says it's worth, mostly when you're looking at the comparables and some trends that are going on too, pricing strategy becomes a big deal. So that's one thing, pricing agreement. Now, the new driver scenario, her little scenario about new drivers. I thought that was awesome. And because immediately I'm thinking, what does a new driver go through to get a license? Number one, they might practice with, a parent or a legal guardian, right? Before they even consider even taking the test, right? Then they have to go through some pre-education to get a driver's license. So you learn the laws of the land and, and when to, your blinkers and all that type of stuff. You have to go through driver's ed with an actual teacher who you're going to get in the car with, and you have to go out multiple times and drive, X amount of hours before you can even go to the DMV. Then you go to the DMV and you take the actual DMV test, and that's the main one. You're not allowed to take anybody else in the car unless you're, accompanied by an adult and somebody who has been driving for a while. Right. This is for younger age people. Like I remember when my daughter just got her license at 16. Yeah, a whole year had to go by before she could carry anybody in her car as a passenger, unless somebody like me or my wife was with her. So, and when you think about it in real estate terms, that's like a coach or a mentor, a broker. And then just along as time goes on, you're getting more experience. But as you're getting that license, you have the coach, you have the trainer, you have the mentors that are helping you along the way. You've gone through the school, you've taken the education, you've passed the courses. So there's a whole lot more than just, well, I look at it as a new driver.
Right.
What are your all thoughts?
No, that's it. It is a lot. It's a lot that goes into it. So you've been through a lot to get that license.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, then you could also bring it up that for the first 3 transactions, there's someone that makes sure that the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, and just so there are no error.
That's
Right.
right. That's right. A lot of offices will require you to have a mentor for your first few transactions. And guess what? If you're not comfortable with the minimum after you've closed your first 3 or 4 transactions, if you want to continue on and using that mentor, they will absolutely allow you. You're going to continue to pay them, but it's well worth making that payment to them. It's well worth it. It's kind of like the $1,500 screwdriver thing, conversation. I'm sure you all heard it, but a somebody charges to like a handyman charges you $1,500, just to come over and turn a screw. And the reason why they charge you that much is because they're the ones who told you where to turn.
Right.
And that's the same when we are working with a mentor or a coach, is that they're telling you where to dot the I's and where to cross the T's and what boxes to check. They're helping you through that scenario, and it's much more beneficial to pay $1,000 to $1,500, whatever the cost is, and get it right the first time versus have to come out of pocket and lose maybe all of it later on, or even get sued. We don't want that either.
Right.
So there's a lot of benefit that goes into that. Anyways, this is a real life scenario, especially for a couple of you, being brand new. You're going to get that. You're new, and then it's going to be like, you know what, I'm just going to go with my buddy, or I'm just going to interview a couple of other agents. There's so much more that goes into it. But
Okay.
if you're
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Well, last question. Pricing strategy. Like, where do you get that strategy from?
Where do you get the pricing strategy from?
Yeah, like what's I guess that's a loaded question because I'm not going to.
Have you seen the pyramid pricing structure?
No.
Yeah, so you weren't here on Monday for the buyer presentation, and we also have it included in the seller presentation. And I can pull it up. So you guys have time? You guys got a minute?
I do.
Yeah, I got 2 minutes.
Brant, you got a minute?
Yeah.
All right, let me get this thing pulled up. So if you'll go to,
and then also with the comparative market analysis in the neighborhood,
Yep.
If everything's selling for 700 and the seller wants 800, there's got to be a good reason.
That's right. Do you all see my screen here?
Yeah.
All right. So if we head over to resources, it doesn't matter which one you're on, but for example, let's go to the seller presentation.
Oh, okay. I just opened that. So.
Yeah. When we go to the seller presentation, and for those of you who are listening, you're welcome to log in, head over to resources and click on the seller presentation, and you'll see it there. So let's go to the slideshow. Let's head over to the triangle. Here it is. So in this particular screen here, this is one way that we're going to talk about it. All right. So what we're attempting to help the seller understand is that if this is market value right here, right, this is your home's asking price, and this is the percentage of buyers who will look at your home. So within the market value, if you placed your home 10% above market value, right, then only 30% of the buyers out there are going to see that home. Whereas at market value, then it's 60%. So you've literally cut it in half by increasing the price by 10%. So for example, like $800,000, you decided to bump it up to $850. Then you're cutting the number of people are out there that are looking, you're cutting it in half. If you decided to go up a little bit more, in this case is 15%, then you're decreasing that by 20% down to 10% now. So only 10% of the people who are out there looking are going to see the home because it's way out of their range. Now, on the flip side, if the market value is 800 grand and you price it, let's just say 750, Now you're putting more eyes on the property. You're increasing that pool of people to go and look at the property. And then if you go even more, then you're increasing it by another 15%. So 90% of the buyers out there are going to see this home. What they're saying is, wow, this home is priced well. It's amazing. I want to go and see it. Right. So they go and see it. They see that it's, when they compare that to the comps that are in the area, the comparable market analysis, the CMAs, when they compare that to the comps that are going on, they're going to see, wow, this home is priced on the market. It's priced well. It looks great. I don't see anything wrong with it. Let's, place an offer. Let's go, open escrow and do an inspection on it. So you're opening it up this way, and you're combining it with the comps. So this is one pricing strategy to help the seller understand this is why you want to price your home properly. And it might not be it might be at market value. There's certainly, you can do that. If you're going to go just above, you can push the market a little bit too to see where it goes. But I would say that if you're going to list a home that's just above market value and it doesn't move within the next couple of weeks, you have a stipulation in your contract that says, look, if we get no offers in the first 2 weeks, then I want to reserve the right to have this conversation again and reduce the price by X amount of dollars until we get an offer. So you can have that written into the contract, and the best person to help you through that is your broker, or a coach or a mentor to help you with that verbiage when you're writing that up and putting it into the contract. Because if you leave it on the market too long at a higher price, like Debbie was saying earlier, then what's going to happen is it's going to sit there. And then after a month or 2 months or 3 months, now they're thinking something's wrong with that property. That goes back to condition, right? Something's wrong with the property. And then as time goes on, if it doesn't sell, your client's going to come back and say, well, my agent's not doing a good job. They're blaming you because they didn't want to price it appropriately to begin with. If you did your job at informing them, here's the reasons why we want to price it appropriately. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely. Totally.
Yeah. And there is a full-on script in our book. It's called Full Listing. Here it is. So in here, this is the full listing presentation agreement, but in here, when I scroll all the way down to, let's talk about how we get more. Well, here it actually starts up here. So it's perfect. We have perfect. We have a price point that we want to get to. Now let's talk about the strategy that we use to get the home to get to that price point. Let's turn to the triangle diagram in the presentation, which is the one I just showed you. What that triangle says is when a home is priced at market value, 60% of potential buyers in the market will look at the property. That's not bad, but what happens if the home is priced at 10% of the market? Only 30% of the potential buyers in the market will look at the property. And if the home is priced 50% above the market, you only see about 10% of the potential buyers in the market who are willing to look at the property. Pricing your home above market value is usually a recipe for disaster. We don't want to create that, right? So notice I put the tie down. You can put any tie down you want. So, and then we'll reverse it. Let's talk about how we get more eyes on your home with success. Again, market value will attract about 60% of the potential buyers in the market. When the home is priced at 10% below the market value, 75% of the buyers will look at it. At 15% below the market value, you have an amazing 90% of potential buyers in the market who will look at your property. That's how we get more eyes on your property and multiple offers for you to review. And that's what you want. Does that make sense, Jamon?
Yep, totally.
So that's the script right there for that conversation around that. Now, I just want to point out on the flip side, when you're talking to buyers, and we're not going to go into this because I don't want to extend this too long, but when you're talking to buyers, I feel like buyers should also understand the triangle from a seller's perspective. So we have a script that is reverse of just that, so that they understand pricing when they go into a home too. And it just depends on whose perspective you're working from. Are you working from the seller's perspective, or are you working from the buyer's perspective? Because your job is to help your clients, help your buyers buy a home, get a great deal, and your job to a seller is to help them sell their home and get the most amount of money for in the shortest amount of time. So you have to understand both and where you're at in the transaction. I hope that helps.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
cool.
Definitely.
Awesome. And the last thing that I want to mention is, about going back to the experience inside the script that you're too new. I realize that some people are going to jump into this business right at when they're 18. And even if you've had small jobs here and there, if you volunteered, if you're in school, you participated in teams in school, all of those are experience. It doesn't necessarily just have to be work experience. It could be volunteer, it could be school teams, it could be all sorts of things like that. So seriously think about the experience that you do have and incorporate that into your scripting when you practice these things. And as time goes on, you start to close deals, that script will change as you go on. That's it for me. Anything anybody want to add?
No, that was pretty good.
That was, very good.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, Darren. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Have a good one.
You too. All right. So that's the script. I hope that you found it useful. Just head over to realestatescriptspractice.com for more resources and downloads. This podcast is for the purpose of education only, and it does not make any guarantees. We suggest you seek out the help of your broker, coach, mentor, CPA, or attorney. Brought to you by Darren Tunstall, California DRE number 018534445.